My girlfriend 23 and I 24 had been together for 3 years. We got along splendidly and our life was just fun. We were able to travel and do fun things because we worked and had money left over after bills. It probably helped that we got a discount on rent from my uncle, our landlord. For my girlfriend's 23rd birthday, I decided to take her to an artist's concert. For this story, I'm going to call him AP. She was always in love with AP from the first time she heard his music. She always struggled with self-confidence issues, but when she heard his songs, she opened up and became the super sexy woman I knew she was. I tried not to be jealous. I knew the chances of her getting together with him were slim to none, and she loved me. That still didn't change the fact that she wrote about him in her journal and would leave me in the midst of an argument to listen to him. I knew I was replaced by AP whenever she felt it was necessary, but I didn't think it was any different than how I found peace in the music I loved. On the way to the concert, my girlfriend would not contain herself. She was dressed super hot, and it seemed like her personal goal to grab AP's attention no matter what it took. She took selfies with me, but I could tell I was not important at this time. When he was introduced on stage, a tear came down her face. We were as close as anyone could get, right in front of the walkway, where he'd come out to sing and be close to his fans. When he saw my girlfriend, he couldn't stop looking. He was good at sharing his attention and staying focused, but as he sang, he kept looking back at her and touching her hand. She was in heaven. During one of the last songs, he held her hand again and must have given some kind of signal to someone that this was the girl he wanted. Not even 4 seconds later, he was singing somewhere else while she was given a backstage pass by security. Obviously, I could not believe this was not happening. I grabbed her hand and tried to leave, but she refused to come with me. She said this was the most exciting thing to ever happen to her, and she wasn't going to turn him down. My mouth was gaping. I asked her if she was leaving me for him, because I knew if she was going back there alone, she was going to have sex with him. She said I didn't have to be like that, but I told her I wasn't playing games. If she slept with him, I wasn't going to forgive her, as couples talk about. She easily picked him and turned back to watch the rest of the show. I stood there like a moron as people left for the parking lot. She was called back after a few minutes and didn't even turn to say goodbye. I then left the venue without her and made the 2-hour trip home. She called me 1 week later, sobbing. Out of curiosity, I listened to her story, but I told her we were done and there was no way she was getting a second chance from me. She said she was taken to AP's hotel room. They hung out for a long time, drank, and did drugs. Before they had sex, she was given a paper to sign that legally obligated her to never speak of this encounter with anyone, not even if there were undesirable consequences from this decision. Of course, he'd have to have some legal protection if he was going to go around stealing people's significant others in a dream-come-true one-night stand. I basically laughed at my ex. I told her she made her choice. She cried harder and continued the story that she got to have a luxurious breakfast the next morning before AP's handlers returned her to her parents' house. She didn't want to tell them our house because she knew I was mad. Her parents quizzed her about what was going on and why she had locked herself in her old bedroom for a few days. She couldn't bring herself to tell them she cheated on me with a celebrity and was going to be alone now. Upon hearing that, I hung up on her and called her parents. I could hear her yelling in the background as I told them what happened. They kicked her out and called her several names. She was wailing as she packed her bags and complained about having nowhere to go. She was pretty much homeless now. They told her she should have thought about that before spreading her legs for someone who didn't care about her. It was a sweet piece of revenge for me to hear that. Then things got even worse for her. She found out she was pregnant. As far as I know, she managed to find some sucker to live with and help raise the offspring, but the baby might have been put up for adoption. So that's how my ex-girlfriend completely screwed up her own life by having a one-night stand with someone she fantasized about. She never even wanted to have kids, but then because of her stupid self, she had a child by someone that she never saw again. Wow, OP, you've been through quite the ordeal. There you were, being kind and sweet to your significant other by getting her concert tickets to her favorite artist, only for her to betray you and literally break up with you that very night. It doesn't matter who AP was, your girlfriend was definitely in the wrong. She was a naive woman who chose to give up everything for what she thought was her greatest fantasy. All it turned out to be was the start of her destruction and unstable life. I'm proud of you for sticking to your gut and refusing to stay with this woman. I know it must have been hard, and you probably considered just letting it go so you could continue on the expected path, but you did the right thing by refusing that. The only way to have a genuine relationship full of unconditional love is to commit yourself to only that person. Relationship issues aside, infidelity is not the answer. She needed to get her priorities straight and learn who she wanted to become. Thank you for sharing your story. Now let's get into our second story for today. My wife, 27, and I, 29, were living in a small apartment complex where 2 times a year, a bug man would come spray the apartment. It only took a few seconds, and then they were gone, but we were still anxious about it. We'd make sure the apartment was clean, and one of the cats we owned was at her uncle's house. I don't like having people in my space, and my wife often said I had OCD. If things didn't go exactly according to plan, I would freak out. My wife was pretty understanding about that, at least, so she tried to stick to her word and give me a sense of stability, while I did the same for her. On the morning the bug people were scheduled to come, I woke up in a panic at 5 a.m. I couldn't go back to sleep knowing a stranger would be arriving at my house soon, and I had to let him in. My wife woke up at 7 and started our usual chores and breakfast. After I ate with her, I worked on the computer for a few hours, and it was already 12 p.m., past the bug man's arrival window. Thinking he wouldn't be there that day, I finally started to relax. I felt my eyelids droop, so I decided to lie down on the couch. I must have gone into a very deep sleep because I didn't wake up until 5 p.m. My wife told me the bug man had stopped by while I was sleeping. This made me feel odd. I asked her how long he took to do it and why she didn't wake me up. My wife looked happy but shy, like she didn't want to talk about this. She said he was only in for a few minutes, they didn't say much, and she didn't want to wake me up because I was sleeping so well. Knowing my wife, that response was vague. Usually, she was very specific and good with words. I just know if she didn't have anything to hide, she would have specified precisely how long he was in the house and what they said to each other, if anything. I didn't know what I could do besides believe her. I checked out our bedroom, but there was nothing out of the ordinary. I realized at this point I was probably extra worried about this because my wife cheated on me in the past when we were dating. She says she thought we were on a break, but we weren't, really. I took out the trash and breathed in the fresh air for a minute to calm down when I saw a folded note beside our apartment door. It read, "To whoever is snoring on the couch in this apartment right now, I know my bug-spraying coworker went into your apartment and spent hours with your wife. You'll have to get her to admit what she did with him. Signed, a concerned fellow." I could not believe it. I took the note to my wife in a daze. Without saying a word, I wanted her to tell me what it meant. She was really caught off guard. I think she was in happy la-la land believing she got away with cheating on me again as I napped in our living room. I think she took pride in thinking she was so clever. When I showed her the note, it was like she was slapped across the face. She said she didn't think it was that long. I waited for her to say more, but nothing came. I asked her if she slept with the man, and she turned bright red. I started losing it, and she couldn't calm me down because she knew she was caught, and I wouldn't believe any lie. She was right. I told her to get out. I didn't even wait for her to pack. I just started shoveling things into the hallway of the complex. At least she knew it was safe from bugs. She started panicking for no reason other than her future was uncertain. She didn't care that she broke my heart. She just needed to figure out who she could sucker into giving her a new place to live. While she made her phone calls, I kept shoveling until I was sure the apartment didn't have anything that belonged to her. I pushed her out to stand in the hallway with her phone charger still swinging from her phone. I heard commotion when 2 of her relatives arrived. At first, I could tell they were mad at me, banging on the door, but since I wouldn't answer, they turned their attention to her, and she told them what happened. They said she was lucky they loved her because what she just did was a terrible, terrible thing to do to someone. They made her wait for them to write me apology notes and slide money under the door, despite her objections, even though she should have been the one doing it. I don't know how long she stayed with them or where she ended up after this, but I know she had to face the reality that day she thought she was going to get away with cheating. After she left, I didn't want to rush into a new relationship, so I bought a puppy. He is my love and support until I try to tame a new woman. OP, I am sorry your relationship with your wife continued after the first time she cheated on you. I know for a fact that she started to believe you were gullible and she could get away with it again. Please don't let this immature and irresponsible woman turn you away from dating completely. Take the time you need to heal and know for sure what you're looking for in your partner. Learn how you communicate with people and what your weaknesses are so you're better equipped to deal with an entirely different person. Stay grounded and reasonable to help your partner and yourself through obstacles or problems while avoiding any unnecessary drama or selfish arguments. I know you're going to make it through this. You made the hard choice to leave her, and it was the right thing to do. You can and will find a better spouse as long as you know who you are and what you want out of life. Thank you for sharing your story. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. If there is a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me.